Okay, so my name is Illia, and I'm going to introduce you the LTV protocol, basically the new approach on how the leverage is used in a DeFi. So imagine a leverage token that anybody can deploy on-chain on top of any pair of tokens, on top of any leverage source. So this is basically the new kind of the DeFi primitive, and we are like the first protocol to make it real. So for those unfamiliar with leverage tokens, it's basically a tokenized vault, ERC 4626, which holds like the collective position on the lending protocol and constantly rebalances itself to obtain like the target loan-to-value ratio. So all the current solutions on the market, I mean like all the leverage vaults on the market, they are basically created manually. And that means that they are permissioned. But if we can get rid of the curator from this equation, we basically can obtain the truly permissioned solution. And this is how it works. So at the core of our model is basically this ultimate equation, similar to the Uniswap consent product formula. And it means that with every change of the borrow asset or the collateral asset, the vault will need to rebalance itself to keep the target LTV. So we formalized basically the whole mass into one formal model. It's a bit long to explain it right now, but the key approach here is that we are using the auctions with incentives mechanism to keep the target LTV. So with each deposit into the vault or like withdrawal from the vault will recalculate the optimal values and with auctions rebalance the collateral to borrow. That basically means that after each interaction with the vault, it will push itself towards the target leverage. The team behind the protocol. So our CTO, Andrei Sobol, he's ex-Matter Labs, the guys behind the ZK Sync. He has more than 9 years of the crypto experience. Our researcher, Yuri, he's basically PhD from New York University, expert in high energy physics. Our engineers are both like the Mass Olympic winners. So basically, as you can see, we're pretty good packed on the tech side. And we believe that our product will have like the transformative impact. It will start the new wave of the leverage tokens. So I mean like the leverage tokens for yield, first of all, for the LSTs, LRTs, yield-bearing stablecoins, and obviously leverage tokens for trading. So this approach will simplify the UX like significantly because you will need just to go to the DEX, buy a token, and that's it. And it is incredibly scalable. As anybody can deploy it for any pair of assets, it basically provides us ability to deploy leverage for low cap LSTs, LRTs, like smaller tokens, etc., etc. And actually, it also optimizes the market because leverage tokens is like the tool that you can use for the interest rate arbitrage in lending protocols. You can also use it for bridging the access to the liquidity to different chains and do the same interest rate arbitrage even cross-chain, also because of bridging. The funny thing that we discovered, it also gives us possibility to obtain the limitless max LTV. So basically, as we have like the permissionless leverage tokens, it can be even deployed on top of each other, like leverage token for leverage token, give you like basically infinite amount of leverage. And that's not the all list. So we see these leverage tokens as a basic building block that will have like a transformative impact in terms of like the leverage in a DeFi and can be reused further in different kind of refinancers, rebalancers, index products, like you name it. And I believe the last thing that I want to address here is why does it actually matters for the validators. So the obvious point is like the higher yield will attract more users, which will lead more, to higher TVL in LSTs and eventually to more ETH, which is staked. The second reason is more interesting, that is with leverage tokens for the LSTs and LRTs, as they will always optimize themselves for the optimal rewards with all the spikes in the TVL or the APY of the underlying LST, it will rebalance itself like automatically to the target leverage and basically like keep these optimal market values. And the last point is like with all this arbitrage activity around, it basically means like you have more transactions, more MEV, more fee rewards for the validators. So that's actually it. You can scan the QR code to see the paper, and I'm open to your questions.
Do you have your...
Yeah, so, yeah, congratulations anyway. That was under 5 minutes. So Do we have any questions
right.
from the jury?
Yeah, do you have your own token as well in that equation somewhere to foster adoption or something?
Yeah, we have our token. It will work like similar to the V tokenomics, a bit updated, but the main idea that we are collecting fees from the vault. It goes like back to the DAO and incentivize users basically to participate in governance decisions. So similar to the V tokenomics.
All right, more questions?
Just for the limitless LTV and the looping thing, can you just explain that a bit more in terms of how that works and how you don't ever get liquidated in case of like a interest rate flips negative somewhere and that sort of stuff?
Yes, so you don't go like instantly liquidated once the interest rate goes flipping, because like you still need to wait some time to get your position reduced enough. In terms of limitless LTV, obviously it's like not absolutely limitless, but with each loop, with each like new deployment of the leverage on top of leverage, you basically will just separate users by the risk profile. So somebody of them will be willing to take more risks with higher rewards. Somebody of them will like stuck on the lower level of leverage. Yeah.
And have you guys modeled out like the sort of APY you can get on like say ETH running this at like super high leverage?
So obviously like the APY will be highly dependent on the underlying APY of underlying assets, but in terms of like possible leverage that we can get right now, so as you can see, like it approximately around like 15-20x on the more of the yield-bearing assets. Like almost all the leverage sources is covered, and the capacity is also like pretty good.
When it comes to go-to-market strategy, what do you have currently run a testnet? Are you live yet? Do you have any users yet of your protocol?
So we just recently published the paper itself. Basically, we did like the first version of the implementation. So the paper was the hardest part, right? After we have the mass, you can implement it pretty quickly. We are expecting to launch the testnet like in the upcoming weeks, probably like few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, starting from there, but not on the mainnet yet, because we need to we want to be really cautious about the security. So we need to go like through the audits and do like all the probably the formal verification itself, because it should be really useful for this kind of protocol before we go to the mainnet.
Thank you.
Can you explain a little bit more what the leverage SRFI and Athena points mean? Like points stands for off-chain value stored somewhere in database. How does it integrate it into your protocol?
So you're asking about the difference between like the leverage Athena itself and the points.
Yeah, yeah.
So the idea is just like you can optimize the leverage level to get the highest APY, or you can push it even further and get like the highest amount of points that you want. So it's just like different measurements of yield. So basically, if you push the leverage over some optimal value, you start losing the APY that you can get from the leverage, but you're still collecting the like more and more points.
I see. Thank you.
All right, we still have 1.5 minutes for questions.
So for example, you may not have the numbers, but like leveraged EtherFi, the possible leverage of 12.5x, what would that actually turn into in terms of the actual yield on the underlying ETH?
So approximately, like with each leverage loop, we can add something around like 1% of APY. So if like the underlying APY is around like 3%, with 10x leverage, it basically gives you like 9 plus 3 is like 12% APY, something around this. It depends like on the borrowing rates, obviously, and on the actual APY, but more than 10% usually. Actually, it's much higher for the stable coins right now. So on the stable coins, it's up to 30%, I believe, that you can get.
All right, we've got 30 seconds. Is that it? Yeah, we don't need to do a full 5, but yeah, we're wrapping this one up. Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, give them a
Thank
round
you,
of applause.
everybody.